Tyres. We'll turn the TC down, the ABS down, and just have a full attack.
New car, new tyres, Lamborghini. It's all very good fun, and best of luck for the shootout, mate.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Appreciate it.
They qualified in 9th in qualifying early today. We've had 6 practice sessions. We've been building to this moment. Richard Craill, Garth Tander alongside me for this very important 40 minutes, but a very different looking session of what we originally had.
It is, Nolts, but ultimately the end game is the same. The end game is to be the fastest, to score pole position for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour, and to win the Alan Simonson Pole Trophy, named after the late, great Danish driver who was one of the fastest ever drivers and certainly most spectacular to watch. And we lost him at Le Mans in 2013, and we thought there was no one more appropriate to name the Pole Trophy after someone so committed, someone so courageous. All the traits you need to be fast in qualifying here at Mount Panorama. Garth Tander's with us as well. GT, 6 different brands on pole in the last 6 years here at Mount Panorama. All 4 GT3 brands represented in this top 10 group, which will be split in half. Bottom 50% go first, and then the fastest cars should be pretty exciting for that second group of 15 minutes.
Well, don't just think that the fastest car is going to come out of the second group. There's every chance that Shane van Gisbergen, for example, is in the first group. He lays down a lap time that the fast group don't match. So we'll go on board here for a lap. We're on board with Chaz Mostert in the 65 Melbourne Performance Centre Audi. And the run down the front straight, still 4th gear when you brake, but you're braking so late, past the 100-metre board. Turn in nice and early to turn 1. 2nd gear, grab 3rd on the exit. You need to flow good speed through the apex at 1, but importantly on the power, nice and early for the run up Mountain Straight. GT3 cars do not have the same horsepower that a supercar does. It makes this lap time up through the corners, so you need to make sure you exit very well. All the corners so deep at the end of Mountain Straight. The 70-metre mark, flow the speed in 3rd gear. Still run the car out nice and wide over the curb at the exit of turn 2. And then right here, turn in on the throttle, doesn't even lift off for the kink before the cutting, back to 2nd gear. And then again on the power nice and early, flow the car out, flat gear over the hump, grab 3rd gear and grab 4th gear before you turn into Solomon. Don't lift all the way off there. And now another difference to the supercar, you actually grab 5th gear for the run down into Reed Park. Don't lift all the way off. You see the car get a little bit nervous there. Hold 5th gear, don't lift all the way off again at McPhillamy, back on the power, 220k an hour through the mid-core of McPhillamy, then send the car over Skyline, then brake. Back to 2nd gear for the run down the dipper. Wait for the car to bottom out, then hard on the gas again. Use the traction control as the car settles. Grab 3rd gear on the limiter. Flow a heap of speed around down to Forest Elbow. Get it stopped, get the nose in. Pick up the throttle nice and early. Flow the car out. Got to be careful. You're in a left-hand drive car there. Don't go too wide on the exit. And then nice and gentle hands for the run down Conrod. Only about 280k an hour, only 280k an hour in a GT3 car as opposed to 297 in the supercar. So you have a bit of a rest, take a few deep breaths, flow the car out here, nice through the kink flat and send it 110 metres an hour on the brakes, back to 2nd gear. Chazzy uses 3rd this lap, flow the car out again. 4th gear on the exit, you'll grab 5th as the car goes down the hill here. And about the 100-metre board, hard on the brakes, back to 2nd gear. Make sure you make the apex for the final corner. Don't make a mistake now. On the power and run the car out again for a flying lap. You work super hard in a GT car to make lap time around here. It's a whole lot of fun.
Now it's enough to put them into provisional pole earlier today. It's about 2 or 3 hours ago as he came back into the pit garages. So that's what it looks like from the driver's perspective as we get set for this first part of the shootout. Let's go to Brian Ingerson.
Yeah, Devarshan Padiachi is strapped into the 55 Valmont racing machine. He's going to conduct the top 10 shootout. Marcel, it's just an amazing result for you guys to get into the top 10 shootout. You pumped?
Definitely pumped. We weren't expecting it. I think half the team were expecting to finish 11th, which they were happy about. They can get home early. But yeah, look, we're excited. It all matters tomorrow, really. So Devarshan will go and have a good hot crack and see where he ends up. But we're pretty happy.
Now, I spoke to you a little bit earlier and said, what were your thoughts on, the 1 lap versus the 15 minutes? And you said to me that if you had 1 lap, what was you going to do with it?
We're going to do scissors, paper, rock, and I was hopefully going to win. And I was hoping to do burnouts all the way around the track with my hand waving and finish 10th. But alas, it's not to be.
Well, let's hope Devarshan can get it a little bit further up the grid. All the very best for this session.
Thank you. Cheers.
We're just ahead of this Pirelli Shootout. The excitement's starting to build. I'm pretty excited because I'm back in my favourite place, the Pirelli pit bunker, and we were able to use this to really break down all the key things for the 2020 race, including all the strategies, the rules, the pit stops. But as we edge closer to the Shootout, I want to take a moment to highlight this fabulous racetrack that we know as Mount Panorama and point out a few things that you might be a little unsure of, or also a chance to explain how they might compare to the Bathurst 1000 Shootout that we're used to seeing. So the first thing we're going to see, this is the track layout, 23 turns, more than anywhere else in the country for any other circuit that we have here that we run in the whole entire calendar. But I'm just going to break it down into these three sectors. And these are the markers that we're going to be looking for across the course of the lap. The first sector is just out of the cutting and the run up towards Reed Park. This middle sector is like nothing else in Australian motorsport. It's flat out through Sulman Park, McPhillamy, across Skyline, down through the Dipper, and at the end of the elbow, you'll get that second sector time. Check out the speed on the third sector, all the way down Conrod Straight. Now, these cars hit a top speed of about 280 kilometres per hour, which is a little bit slower than you'd see in a supercar, closer to 300. So they're flat through the chase, easy flat, back down to about third gear, and then you want to try and make sure you nail that last corner for a perfect shootout lap. What are we talking in terms of numbers and times? Well, if we quickly turn on our fastest laps, we've got a bit of an idea. Supercars can dive into the 203s in a shootout lap. We have seen in the past as low as 201s, but 2020 we're down into the 202s in the Pirelli Shootout. So extremely fast. They're about a second a lap quicker than a supercar. And how do they manage to do that if they're slower down Conrod? Well, if we bring up our turn numbers again, there's a few parts of this track where they're much, much faster. And I'm going to highlight McPhillamy. Check out the difference here. A supercar is in fourth gear, 195 kilometres per hour as they rip through turn 10 McPhillamy. But check it out, LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12R cars, they've grabbed fifth gear on the approach and they're hitting 220 kilometres per hour. This is where they produce their speed. That second sector across the top of the mountain, these cars are incredibly quick. And for the fans lucky enough, as I was last night, to watch them go from Sulman Park, McPhillamy across Skyline, there is nothing like it. And when these cars are on new tyres, new brakes, and having a flat out lap at the mountain, that is where you want to be.
It is like the calm before the storm here in pit lane at the moment. It is just a wonderful time of the day. The sun is just about to hit the top of the hill over there on turn one. Dean Fiore's with me. Your teammate Luke Holdsworth is in the car at the moment. Any instructions for Lee?
Yes, I told him to lay it on the line for the last four positions.
Put it down. You guys must be happy with the way this is all going. Great team, and the car's fast.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, this, NPC, they do a fantastic job, and this aero upgrade on this new Audi is just fantastic. So it's really good for us to drive, especially for Mark. Senior, the car owner, he's really comfortable, and he's in the best form he's ever been going into the 12 hours. So we're looking forward to tomorrow.
Podium chance tomorrow, do you think?
Oh, it depends what happens. We're not focused on the outcome. We're just focused on the process at the moment, and that's to make it to the last 2 hours, give it to lethal, and then sit back, have a coffee, and watch what happens.
Who starts in the morning tomorrow?
Unfortunately, me.
Enjoy. Get a few laps in the dark tomorrow. Exactly. Lee's heading out there now, guys. Let's get to work.
Barrett's is also going to be the middle of the night for Dean as well. He's on WA time. So we feel like 3 o'clock in the morning when it gets going out there tomorrow. As the first part of qualifying gets underway here on the mountain. The shootout to set the grid for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour in a little over, well, in fact, bang on 13 hours from now.
It all seems so close, Bolts. So you've got all the details. You've seen Chaz Mostert's lap, expertly called by Garth Tandy. You've seen the speed difference that these cars can produce compared to other racing cars here at Mount Panorama and the way they generate that performance. And if you put it all together, somewhere in the 2-minute twos is going to be a pole position lap based on what we've seen these cars doing so far this weekend. The best lap in the mid-twos so far in that aggregate session we saw before. Qualifying record is held by Shane van Gisbergen, set in 2016, 2-minute 1.286. I don't think we'll trouble that, but they will go very quickly today. 19 degrees ambient at the moment, so it's about 1.5 degrees cooler outside than it was in qualifying about 2 hours ago, but this little bit of sunlight bursting onto the racetrack might just help. A little bit of UV in the surface, generate a bit more tyre temperature and battle that tyre warm-up issue that we've been talking about all day. And the drivers out. The bottom 5 from the top 10 in combined qualifying earlier today are Shane van Gisbergen, Man Filters, 888 Race Engineering, Devarshan Padiachi, Valmont Racing, Mercedes AMG, Ben Barker, the British driver who raced Formula 3 and Carrera Cup in Australia for a couple of seasons in the Grove Racing Porsche 911 GT3R. Lee Holdsworth, we heard, has got the job of qualifying the Hallmark Audi R8 and Tony D'Alberto out there in the Lamborghini. So all 4 brands in GT3 represented in this first 15-minute session.
You can't say enough about that 55 AMG GT3 as well. The Valmont team that decided to join and race together with Sergio Perez as well. Devashan Padiachi will have the honours of driving in this shootout session. I love those stories, Garth, like that, where you see these guys take a punt, they've made their way into the shootout.
Oh, and what a bucket list thing, isn't it? You're in the shootout at Bathurst with no expectation that that was going to happen. So it's all upside for the 55 cars. They actually do the smart thing and jump in behind the 888 car. If you're going to follow someone around Bathurst, why not follow Shane Van Gisbergen? So very smart play there from Devashan Padiachi. So the driver's working nice and hard to build tyre temperature up. This is clearly not a push lap. This is a preparation lap, and you'll see, I would imagine that 55 car welded to the rear bumper of the yellow man filter Mercedes of Shane Van Gisbergen over the next lap, because next time we come to the start line, it'll be on.
We heard Shane say just before that he's been learning from Jules Gounon and technically teammates this weekend. 888 Race Engineering are running the Sun Energy One racing team for Kenny Habul. But it might flow the other way with this session because Jules is yet to come. He's out in the second 15 minutes, which is the top 5 cars from qualifying earlier today. So I wonder where the division between being good teammates and being rivals comes, because that might be it. Jules might go, oh, what was the session like, Shane? And he might be oddly quiet after this little first part of qualifying.
Oh, you don't even need to speak to Shane. Jules will be watching the telemetry from the 888 car. He'll be watching how the tyre temperatures come in, how the tyre pressures come in, when Shane starts attacking the lap. So not this lap. You can see even in this second part of the lap, Shane's starting to build more road speed, starting to get up to probably about 60% road speed at the moment. So Jules will be watching all that stuff. So he'll have an understanding of when the tyres have come on. So you don't really need to speak directly to your teammate. All you need to do is watch over their shoulder via the telemetry that's already being sent back to the pits right here, right now. So clearly that's the advantage of being 2-car teams, multi-car teams. You have the opportunity. So the Audi team will have that opportunity also with Lee Holdsworth on circuit in the Hallmark Audi. So there's lots of watching going on right now, not just the timing screens, but how these tyres are coming in and when's the right time to attack.
That's the view just for track position purposes. You heard from Adrian Burgess at the start of the session, the head of motorsport at Supercars and the Bathurst 12 Hour, and saying there shouldn't be any traffic issues, but Devashan Padiachi doing the right thing. If you're going to follow someone at this place, make it be Shane Van Gisbergen. So the driver behind the wheel of car 55 has done a good job. Here's Ben Barker, 31-year-old from the UK. He plies his trade now as a pro gun for hire in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and he's a long-time co-driver of the Groves. But here we go, the first push lap. Van Gisbergen on it, the car fighting him at turn 1.
Not ready yet, not tyre temperature there. So Van Gisbergen centred at turn 1 and the car did not cooperate. Pretty graphically see that, his hands through the windscreen. Lost the rear of the car, had to turn in for a second chance. So already, with even 200 metres into the 6.2 kilometres around the track, this lap's given up.
You'd rather find out there than halfway up to Griffins, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you get a pretty good idea. Anytime you ever do a shootout lap, when we do the traditional one lap shootout here, you have a really good understanding of what grip you've got at turn 1. So as soon as you turn it into turn 1, you know you've got grip. It gives you confidence to attack the braking zone at turn 2 and then send the car across the top of the mountain with maximum attack. So Shane would have backed out of it straight away, gone back into tyre building mode, continue to build the pressure, build the temperature, get ready for the next lap. You can't do that too many times. This is a 15-minute session. We're already down to just over 9 minutes to go. So 6 minutes have gone like that, and we still haven't set a representative lap time.
Devashan Padiachi will be having the lap of his life right now, even though SVG's building up to it. Ben Barker has set the fastest first sector, and here he is across the top of McPhillamy Park in the Grove Hire, number 4 Porsche, down into the S's.
Let's not take anything away from Devashan. He's a top 10 runner in Carrera Cup on his day, so he is competitive. The Sydney Sider, second-gen racer. His dad Indiran in the field in the GT3 Cup car we saw, unfortunately, make the fence earlier on today. Barker on it, so still a couple of seconds away from where they need to be. There's David Cauchi, who's taken over the reins at Grove Racing this year. They brought a mixture of their regular GT team and the supercar team, plus some internationals to help out this weekend. And remember, Grove Racing have won this race on 5 occasions in their class. 4 times in Class B in a GT3 Cup car. And in 2020, last time out, they won the Pro-Am class in the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12 Hour. So this year's field's stronger, but they know how to put together a good Bathurst 12-hour campaign. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Porsche still looking like it was understeering, turning into the final corner, but does a 5.7, so the first semi-representative lap time of the session so far. Paddock did a 2:06.4, decent lap time. They'll get to work now, those two Mercedes.
Lee Holdsworth, fastest middle sector, comes to finish this one. What's he got? He goes to second with a 6.0. So the time's continuing to build. Don't forget, we saw in the pro session very high 2s in that very fast session. So still some way to go in this one. But the risk versus reward in this session, you have to think about. Van Gisbergen's given this one away as well, so doesn't want Paddock learning. Paddock beat him on the last lap, so he doesn't want him following him around. So still continuing to prep. You only need one lap. That's the thing about this session is, well, it's not a traditional shootout. It only takes one lap to put the car on pole. So still 7 minutes to go in this one.
See how the Valmont Mercedes goes now with a bit of fresh air ahead of him. So Barker, Holdsworth, Paddock, Van Gisbergen and D'Alberto, the top 5. The first part of this qualifying session, the bottom half from original qualifying today.
Talented bottom half, isn't it?
Yeah.
Driving talent, so the reigning Bathurst 1000 champions in there. Shane Van Gisbergen, bloke that won it 2 years before that and currently demolishing the field in supercars again. So Paddock down on his second flyer. So he's gone on with it this time around. Personal best sectors, though, down on Barker's lap time. Ben has found some improvement, though, in the Grove Racing Porsche. Great crowd watching on down at the Chase, basking in a really lovely Saturday afternoon. The clouds burned away, sun setting, and a great afternoon as we set the grid. The top 10 positions for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour. Here's the Porsche. So fastest of anybody in the first split. Personal best across the top. The Porsche tends to be a really good all-round package at Mount Panorama. It's just generally very good everywhere, and what it translates to is a really good race package. Winners in 2019. Pole position with Matt Campbell in 2020. Porsche's first pole at Mount Panorama, and that lap time sees Ben improve to a 2:05.0. Still lap time to find, not in the 4s yet.
I just wonder, guys, whether the cooling track conditions are starting to actually get too cool. We've heard so much about everyone talking about trying to get the tyres up, but if the road surface is actually too cool, you can't generate enough tyre temperature. Lee Holdsworth now goes to the top with that first 4 that Richard Crail ordered, a 4.8.
Thank you, Lee.
So you ask, Lee Holdsworth delivers aboard the Hallmark Audi. And the Mercedes team and the Porsche team were feeling like the Audis were the ones that could turn the tyres on the quickest there. Van Gisbergen again leaving the cutting, oversteer. Let's just stay on board with this one. You can hear the car bottoming out as he tips it through Solomon Park.
50.7, it's the quickest
Bottoms
sector
again
of the
at
session.
Reed. He's working hard though. 5th gear now, McPhillamy. Still bottoming, runs it on the curb at the exit McPhillamy.
No lower than 213 k's an hour through the apex at McPhillamy Park. It's so fast across the top. That's the Gazoo Dipper done. Check the next timing intermediate is on the exit of the Forest Elbow. Brock Feeney watching on. He will start the race tomorrow. That red driving suit behind, that's Jules Gounon. So he'll jump aboard the Sun Energy 1 car exactly as Garth Tander said, watching the data.
Van Gisbergen fastest to the end of the second sector now, so a cumulative time of a 22.68. That's the fastest we've seen so far. And based on the sector times, this should see Van Gisbergen into the 3s if we can get it through the chase efficiently. About the 120-metre mark on the brakes. Van Gisbergen always complained that the Mercedes wasn't as good as the Audi on the brakes at the chase, but it gets out of there very nicely. That's Duvash and Paddock just up the road. I wonder whether Van Gisbergen's put him up the road just to get a bit of a slipstream from him. Bit of experience coming there. What does Van Gisbergen do as he comes to the line? It's a 3.6. So the first car well into the 3s now, and that's starting to look like this car's far more competitive than what we've seen so far, but the balance is still not where you want it to be for a 12-hour race. Van Gisbergen was having to work pretty hard. He's aborted on this one. So whether he just cools the tyre and has another go at the end of this one, we'll have to wait and see.
Barker found about 0.4 of a second himself on that lap,
Yeah.
but will stay second with an 0.47. Here's Tony D'Alberto, currently with an 0.56, and improves by 1 spot, goes 2.051 to put Paddock back into 5th position. As we've got about 3 minutes and change remaining in this part 1 of qualifying. And the Wildlife having the best seats in the house here It's down in the chase. It's just another day, isn't it, really?
Nothing perturbs them, does it?
No.
Tony D'Alberto going past at speed, didn't even bat an eye.
I would rather those than the Cape Barren geese with
Yes.
Phillip Island. A much smaller obstacle down there at the chase outside of Ridges Mount Panorama. There's a slow-mo shot of the Wall Racing Lambo, that amazing livery. It's a bit of a nod to the old BASF Porsches that used to run in sports car racing at Le Mans 24-hour. Adrian Dietz has been running that on this car for a long time. Lots of fans at the top of the mountain. Such a good vantage point. No fences to get in the way of some nice photography up there as well. This beautiful afternoon light. So Paddy actually going on with it, and his lap times continue to improve.
His first sector was seriously impressive on this lap. His first sector was a 50.89 versus the session best of Van Gisbergen, a 50.7. So Paddy Archie, yes, they'll be counting their good blessings that they've made it into this shootout, but they are not disgracing themselves at all with this car, doing a very nice job.
10 tenths behind SVG's time as he works his way into the chase. Still 2 minutes to go. Holdsworth is now the fastest man in the second sector, but the bottom three all on their fastest laps right now as Paddy Archie brings the Valmont Mercedes AMG around to the final turn. Up on the curb, just get up on the dirt, and goes up fourth now, 204.6. 1 second covering 4 cars. This is the guy we need to watch.
Holdsworth fastest middle sector. He's fastest to the cumulative to the end of the second sector. The Audis are traditionally very strong on the brakes. Van Gisbergen's given it away with 1.5 minutes to go. He will not run again. So what does Holdsworth have for him? Finishes the lap nicely. What does he have? Second, a 4-0. And this will be his last lap with 1 minute 24 to go on this one. Holdsworth needs to make this one everyone a winner and sends it through turn 1.
So really good across the top. Gave away 4 tenths in the final sector relative to Van Gisbergen. That's where the time went missing.
It wasn't even a personal best for Holdsworth. So I talked him up in the final sector and he didn't deliver. Maybe only delivers for Richard Crail.
Oh, let's be honest, as it should be.
You take this, Martin.
55 seconds to go. Part 1. Remember, another 15 minutes coming your way after a 5-minute break. And we stick the internationals in for the most part. 2 fast Audi drivers. Jules Gounon in the AMG. We look forward to that. SVG out. He's clinging on at the moment. 3 tenths faster than Lee Holdsworth, who has not found improvement in Sector 1. He's 3 tenths down on the best time of the session so far.
Still, though, that's a potential 7th place. Well, at the moment, that's assuming that all 5 cars in the next session do better than Lee Holdsworth 4-0. So don't forget, these times still count when the fast 5 come out, if you like. So Van Gisbergen gets his head and neck restraint hybrid system off. He'll come and check the timing screens.
If your prediction of the track calling off maybe for the next session, we could have a very different looking top 5.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I feel like, just how hard Van Gisbergen was working to do that 3-6. They haven't had the balance that they wanted with that car all weekend, but he has done a lot of laps around here in Mercedes AMG cars, so he knows how to maximise it. The Sparker's pretty good here.
Yeah, great lap. He's improved in the first 2 splits, Garth, and just dropped it wide off the final corner. And yeah, gained away a couple of tenths, 204.3.
Richard Crail put the Moz on that one. You can see Ben Barker get over the apex curb at the final corner, bounce the car wide, then drop the outside rear in the dirt to finish the lap. So not a strong final sector. Here's D'Alberto coming to finish his final lap. To second gear, makes the apex nicely. Has he rolled enough speed through there though? What's he got? Improves his lap time, not his position. A 4.69 for Tony D'Alberto.
I wasn't going to say he was up before he crossed the line, and it turns out he was. So you're absolutely correct. Sorry to Ben Barker after all of that. So part 1 of the Pirelli Shootout done and dusted, and Shane Van Gisbergen. It took a 203.6 to top that order. Lee Holdsworth next. That's a really impressive job for Hallmark Racing. Barker, the British driver, next for Porsche. Devash and Paddy Archie, well done, within a second of SVG. And Tony D'Alberto rounding out the top 5. So now we pause and wait, and we set the internationals loose.
So cast your mind back to this morning, Crail, alongside me. A round of applause for this guy, and why not? Paddy Archie was very impressive in that session for the Valmont team as he makes his way back into the pits. Do you remember when you were heckling this guy alongside me in the commentary box this morning? I think he's getting a little bit back on you now. It's only warming up for tomorrow. Dean Canto.
Haven't started on you yet, Matthew. Don't
yes,
worry.
you have.
Right. Garth, for Devarshan, not a professional race car driver, does it for enjoyment, still very, very competitive, but he's got a day job. He works for a living. He doesn't race week in, week out. In similar machinery, to get within a second of arguably the best racing car driver in the nation at the moment, that's a huge job.
Oh, you'd sleep well tonight, wouldn't you, if you're Devarshan Paddyarchi? I mean, that's a job well done. I mean, just to make the shootout was a big job, big news story for that team, but then to go out and to put that lap time down within a second of Shane, you sit down at the end of the day, have a deep breath and think, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not bad at all. Watching now inside the cockpit of the 75 Sun Energy AMG Mercedes, Jules Gonon, reigning Bathurst 12-hour winner from 2020. He was aboard a Bentley then. That was a big front-engine V8. It's a very different big front-engine V8 that he's aboard now, but certainly very fast around the mountain. Chaz Mostert.
Sorry, Garth. Broadly regarded as one of the best GT drivers on the planet at the moment. 2017 Spa 24-hour winner. He's won at the Nürburgring. He's racing in IMSA sports car racing at the moment. They're racing this weekend, but Bathurst won in the battle between Mid-Ohio and Mount Panorama.
Says a bit, doesn't it? The fact that he wanted to come down here and defend his Bathurst 12-hour crown. It's Kelvin van der Linde aboard the 74 Valvoline Audi. Adam de Bore, very popular engineer up and down pit lane, a very common voice that we often hear on the radio to Chaz Mostert. They're like strawberries and cream, those two. Go everywhere together.
Did you have a driver-engineer relationship that's lasted as long as Adam and Chaz in your career?
I had a very long working relationship with Matt Nilsson at HSV dealer team and Holden Racing team, but these guys have been together pretty much for the entirety of Chaz's supercars career. And I've worked with Adam quite a bit with the Audi program. He's a very smart engineer, knows how to get the most out of these cars, and spends a bit of time talking to Germany, the Audi engineers in Germany, and they use a lot of his information on the cars in Europe as well. So you can see the cars that have done their job. They're parked at 45 nose in. The ones that are about to go to work, they're parked at 45 nose out.
This was SVG's lap on the way through at the chase that's put him into provisional pole at 2:03.63 just a few moments ago in the first part of qualifying. As the sun disappears behind the clouds once again. That session was almost a dream session, wasn't it? If you were to pick the two. The fans look on here, of which there's plenty, taking in the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour here today to set the grid with the race to come at 5:15 local time here at Bathurst tomorrow morning. We are looking forward to the big one here.
Control to Paul in 5, 4, 3, 2,
That's the scene
1.
at Mount Panorama.
Green light, open pit exit.
That's the voice of race director James Taylor saying that pit exit is now open for the fast 5. 15 minutes on the clock to set the grid for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour. If you missed the first 15 minutes, net gain for Triple Eight. Shane van Gisbergen has improved their starting position regardless of what happens now. They could be no worse than 6th on the grid and only be beaten by the 5 cars to roll out in this second stanza of a revised Pirelli Top 10 shootout here at Mount Panorama on qualifying day for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour. So, to reset, the drivers out there. Brett Hobson has got the job behind the wheel of car 45, the Ram Motorsport GWR Mercedes AMG. The fast South African Kelvin van der Linde will be behind the wheel of car 74. Ricardo Fellow, this young Swiss prodigy who's come here as an unknown, a factory Audi ace, and has been one of the fastest drivers all weekend, will get the job behind the wheel of car 777. Chaz Mostert, Bathurst pole sitter last October for WAU. He's driving car 65, the Coin Spot Audi. And this man, Jules Gonon, the reigning winner of this race, is behind the wheel of car 75 for Sun Energy One Racing. The scene is set, Chad Nalon, for a fascinating and fast 15 minutes.
Indeed it is. Lee Holdsworth is out of the Hallmark Audi. He came back to a very warm reception. All the mechanics were there to clap you back in. High fives all around. Seems to be a pretty good vibe down here with this team.
Yeah, really good, Chad. We've been setting it up for a race car. We really didn't focus too much on quali at all. You know, we want to make it comfortable for Mark. He did a good job in qualifying, and then we were able to just slip into the 10. So that was cool, and then had the track pretty much to myself. I mean, we all had a good gap out there. it was pretty sketchy at the start, going up towards the cutting because the sun was quite low and you just couldn't see a thing. And then suddenly the corner came up on you. So once that went down, we could push on a bit. I think the track's gripping up a little bit now, but yeah, just pleased to be in the 10, and I think the worst we can be is 7th.
Great drive, mate. Well done.
Thanks, Joe.
Solid job, wasn't it? Lee Holdsworth walks away. You're in car with Kelvin van der Linde right now as they start to generate the heat into these Pirelli tyres in the second part of qualifying. Just shutting the air vent off right now, so they continue to build the heat and build the drama, the tension as we get set for pole position. Who will claim the #1 spot, the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12 Hour?
Have a look at the top left of the dash aboard the Kelvin van der Linde 74 Audi. You'll see 4 red squares there. They're the tyre pressures. I sort of didn't know what the tyre pressures should be, and when they're red, that's not enough. So we've spoken about building tyre temperature and building tyre pressure. When the when the dash displays the tyre is red, they haven't got the tyre temperature and pressure that they need. The fact that right there, Kelvin went back to 2nd gear for turn 2 as opposed to the traditional 3rd gear says that he doesn't have the front grip that he needs then. What you need to do with these aero cars, though, is you need to go as fast as your tyre will let you to build the road speed. That's how you then start to get temperature. So it's chicken and egg, because you need tyre temperature to go fast. You need to go fast to get tyre temperature. That's where these guys that live in the GT3 cars, these factory drivers, have such an advantage. We may know the circuit better here at Bathurst, but they know how to get the most out of the car. And it's in these types of sessions where you need to maximise the time that you have available and get the tyre up to temperature as quick as you can. That's where the pros and these factory drivers really earn their money.
I could now look at nothing other than those tyre pressure warnings.
Left front's coming, left front's coming. Big moment, though, for van der Linde as he came down into the chase. Had to go back to 1st gear to slow the car up. So left front's coming. You see that's gone to black now. But the right front and the 2 rear tyres still not in the operating temperature window that they need to be. Kelvin loves playing with the air vent on the car as well. That's actually really powerful. You run your visor down so that you don't get too much air in there.
Well, it was part of the 22 Evo upgrade for these cars, was a really nice air conditioning system that drivers do say is actually extremely powerful to keep the drivers cool. I don't think we'll need that too much over the course of this weekend. He continues to fidget with that. This is actually a half-decent lap time. Sector times are strong. It's going to get him in the mix, even though it's his first semi-sort of flying lap, and it's a 2:04.3, so the Audis go straight to work. And the 25-year-old South African from Johannesburg, he now races basically full-time in DTM competition in Germany for Audi, but still does a lot of the big enduro races like Spa and the Nürburgring. He's right to work, P4 already.
They've had a mortgage on that 4th position all through practice as well, this team. Brad Schumacher and Nathaniel Berton will share the driving duties in this team tomorrow. So breaks in between Ben Barker and Devashin Padiachi as headlights ablaze for Ricardo Feller as he graces the top of Mountain Straight in the Ben Motorsport Park entry and climbs his way with just on 9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in this part 2 of qualifying. It continues to get darker here at Mount Panorama.
Just before we get too serious, who's money on, boys? I'd like to know.
I think it's really between van der Linde and Feller. I think, oh, Mostert's a chance. It's like asking for the lotto numbers, Richard. Like, seriously. Come on.
I think with Ricardo Feller being so quick straight out the box, I think they'll grab the pole here today. You're in car with him right now.
Van der Linde very fast in qualifying mode. I've had 2 very, very, very fast teammates at Audi. One was Rene Rast, who's been one of the best, and Kelvin van der Linde's right up there with him.
Soon to find out as he works his way down to Maguire's elbow. Fastest in the first sector. Van der Linde's on a lap as well. We're watching car 777, Ricardo Feller, the fastest in this session so far as you're in car with the Ben Motorsport Park Valvoline 777 Audi, working Conrod Straight in the final 8 minutes and 45 seconds of qualifying to set the grid for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12 Hour here.
There is nothing between the 2 factory Audis at the moment. Van der Linde's on a very good lap, so too Ricardo Feller. We're on board with the young Swiss driver in car 777. Van der Linde's about to cross the line. He goes second with a 3.6, but it's about to be beaten, I think, by the driver we're watching now. Gets the car stopped and turned to the final corner. Where's the lap time? For Ricardo Fella, it's fastest, 2:03.3. Instantly finds 3/10 on Shane Van Gisbergen.
Don't think Chaz Mostert's not here to play.
Oh.
He goes to the top with a 3-2, so there was nothing in it to the end of the second sector between the three Audis, and Mostert shows the international boys he knows his way around Mount Panorama. What does Gudon have? This is still not a fast one, a 5-2. So we have said that the Mercedes are taking that extra lap to get the tyre up to temperature. There was a little bit of strategy going on right at the start of this session where Triple Eight held that car of Gilles Gounon right to the end, let everyone go, and Gounon was the last car out on track. So a little bit of fun and games going on there between the Audi Sport Australia team and Triple Eight, who are running that 75 Sun Energy 1 car of Gilles Gounon.
Van der Linde's going on with this. Fastest first sector of the entire day, down through the Kazoo Dipper. Into 74, Valvoline, Kelso Electrical Audi. You feel it, can't you? The intensity's rising. This is great.
They're so good to watch at maximum attack, these drivers and these cars at this place. Bit of oversteer on the exit of the elbow. He's up, though.
This is predicted to be into the twos. A very fast middle sector from Van der Linde.
Chaz is going with him. Chaz fastest of anybody. Ricardo Fella quickest across the top. This is an absolute Bathurst shootout. It's exactly what we want at Mount Panorama. Where does he break? About 110 metres it is for the run uphill. So this has been a good lap. He's been trumped by Chaz Mostert at the moment, Van der Linde, but it should be good to drop into the twos for the first time in this qualifying session. Gee, just got it stopped at the final corner, didn't he? They're on such a rugged edge, and it's fastest. It's in the twos. 2:02.86 for Kelvin Van der Linde, but Chaz Mostert is about to knock that off. Or is he? He's got some traffic. There's only 5 cars in 6.2 Ks, and he has found one of them.
It's Brett Hobson in the Ram Motorsport entry. Hasn't affected it. No, it hasn't. 2:02.6. There could have been more in that car, though. At 2:02.6 puts Mostert back into 1.
So now Mostert's backed out of that one with the traffic in front. There was no point pushing on. So really now Mostert needs to re-prep in case there's a counter battle or counter attack from Van der Linde or Fella. Gounon's moved himself up to 4th with a 3:47. It's pushed Van Gisbergen's time from the previous session back to 5th.
He's up.
2/10 again.
He's up. Kelvin's been very good in the first sector all session. Brushes the fence across the top. More to come from the Audis. I spoke to Troy Russell yesterday, who heads up this mammoth 6-car team. He said, we desperately want pole. The Alan Simonson pole trophy is one we want to have in the mantelpiece. Audi have not been on pole here since 2015. And it was another great GT ace in Lawrence Vantor who did the job that year in a Gen 1 Audi R8. Middle sector not special. He's given away 4/10 across there, but still on for a PB. He only needs to find 0.19 to beat Chaz Mostert.
He was much tidier for the run out of the dipper for the run down to Forest Elbow on this lap, but potentially gave away a little bit of lap time. Noticed on the previous lap, Van der Linde was using second gear right here at the chase after the braking zone, whereas Fella's using third gear, as is Mostert. So a little bit of a different in technique from the drivers. Van der Linde's always used second gear at the chase. So he comes to complete this one. What's he got? Just over 4.5 minutes to go in this session. Does it improve? Lap time, yes. Position, no.
Oh, it's 500 slower than Mostert, so he'll have to go again. Brett Hobson looking to set his fastest lap. The Ram Motorsport Mercedes-Benz. This is the spare car, or the borrowed car, if you will, for the weekend. But he's sharing with Garth Walton. These guys got inside the top 10. Where does the 45 Mercedes go? Stays in 10th, improves on the time, 2:04.7. Gounon on the way down to the final turn in the Sun Energy 1 Mercedes.
There's some improvement here. Middle sector not special, but the lap time does improve. 2:03.4. So still 0.7 off the ultimate pace of those Audis, who are currently 1st, 2nd and 3rd.
Car looks a little bit nicer, though, than the 888 Man Filters AMJ Mercedes. Much better run off turn 1 for the run up Mountain Straight. Nowhere near the amount of oversteer aboard this car that we saw when we were on board with Shane Van Gisbergen. Here's Mostert, though. He's got pole. but I don't think he's fully comfortable. He knows that both Van der Linde, Fella and Gunon will be coming for him. So he backed off from that slower traffic, found a bit of track position, and we'll just have another push lap.
I don't think you'd be comfortable with 500ths of a second, would you?
Never
5
comfortable.
tenths, maybe.
Never comfortable at Bathurst. If you're comfortable at Bathurst, you're not going fast enough.
Van der Linde, fastest second sector, 31.4. We stay with Mostert. Across the top at Solomon Park.
No, he's backed out of this one as Mostert.
He's got time. He'll get back if he wants to go again, and I think he's going to need to, because this guy on the cumulative lap is up on his rival, the Aussie, who won the Bathurst 1000 last year, but he's only got to find 5/100ths of a second. Can Kelvin van der Linde put car 74 back on top? It's been fastest throughout the preliminaries leading up to this qualifying shootout. Is it good enough? Oh, yes, it is. 2:02.57. He was 500ths behind. He's now 900ths in front. There is nothing in this, folks.
Jules Gunon makes his way down. Conrad straight into the chase. He's on a personal best. It's still not competitive to what the Audis have been able to do to the end of the second sector. But this car is getting better and better and better every lap. And when you've got 12 hours ahead of you tomorrow, that's exactly what you want from your race car. This car looks far more comfortable doing this lap time than those Audis do doing those Hollywood lap times at the front.
Moves up one spot though, 2:03.3, 7 tenths away from Van der Linde. Inside the final 2 minutes of the shootout, part 2 of qualifying. Mostert coming around to go again. He's got time, but chasing that 2:02.57, the margin 0.0969.
How much do you want it, Chazzy? This is it. This is your last chance to find 9/100ths in 6.2 kilometres of the best bitumen in Australia.
We're going to ride with this. We will take you all the way. This is the difference at the moment. This is where qualifying is at. Van der Linde's on top by less than 1/10 of a second. It'll be the smallest pole margin in 12-hour history if it stays that way.
Van der Linde's aborted his lap, so this is it. It's between Van der Linde, Mostert. Gunon's now gone to third. Fella is on a reasonable lap, but not spectacular at the end of the first sector.
I think it's a fight for third between Gunon and Fella. A battle on the second row of the grid. Pole is right here. What's the first timing intermediate like for Chaz Mostert? 50.5, 3/10 down. But the Audis are good across the top, we know that. And Van der Linde has traditionally been very strong in Sector 1. That's where he's been at his absolute best. But Chaz has got some time to find. Gunon is still improving, by the way, on his final lap.
This car looks very nicely balanced in the high-speed stuff at Reed Park and McPhillamy. Taily off the dipper like we saw from Van der Linde's car. How does it pull up for the run down into the elbow? Yeah, nice. Gets on the power nice and early, flows the car out to the wall. What's this second sector like? Still not quite there. Still not quite there. Maybe Chaz has used the best of this tyre. He's having a crack. He's low on fuel. It's got no fuel left. This is it. They've fueled it perfectly for this last lap.
Ricardo Fella has decided to come in, but we're watching Mostert with a checkered flag out. The rest of the field coming in. Van der Linde at the top. It's 900ths of a second. One car to determine who will have pole and who starts on the front row in the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour. Mostert to the finish line. Checkered flag waves. Goes to the top. And 2:02.4 is 800ths quicker. He found something in the final sector, and that is pole position for the Bathurst 12-hour.
Where did that come from?
Last sector, that's where it came from. Best last sector of the session. And steals it. Turns a 9/100th deficit into an 8/100th advantage.
Oh, what a lap. Chaz Mostert does it again at the mountain. 2:02.49. Audi take the Alan Simonson pole award. It's their 4th Bathurst 12-hour pole, which is the most of any brand in the history of this race. And the margin is the smallest in the history of this race. 8/100ths of a second. Chaz Mostert, Liam Talbot and Fraser Ross are on pole for the LIQUI MOLY Bathurst 12-hour, and that was a great qualifying session.
They traded lap after lap, minute after minute, and Mostert secures pole. Vandal into second, Goon on third, Ricardo Feller in fourth. Van Gisbergen was the quickest in the first session. He'll settle for fifth with Holdsworth, Barker, Paddiacci, D'Alberto, and Brett Hobson making it inside the top 10. What a thrilling finish. 0.0858 of a second, and Chaz Mostert on the pole tomorrow. How cool was that?
Well, when you go back and reflect on life decisions, a couple of 15-minute sessions at the end of the day, on a day like today, very good life choice, yep. Pole position to Audi. Well, he did it last December, it was, for the 1,000, and then smoked the field on Sunday as well. Could we see a repeat? Could he go back-to-back? This combination looking so strong. Liam Talbot and Fraser Ross have been incredibly competitive from an AM driver point of view throughout, as Chaz gets the gracious applause from the fans at the top of Mount Panorama. He'll get the Alan Simonson Pole Award. It's his second pole position in this race. He was on pole in the BMW. Chad, what a lap.
Yeah, before we get to the official pole awards, I want to grab a word with Liam Talbot, Fraser Ross, who were just elated when they saw that lap time come up. You guys have one hell of a pro co-driver to work with this weekend. How about that last sector?
Oh man, that's special. You know, he can drive, we know that, but that's mega. That is unbelievable.
And you played your part in this as well, Liam, by getting the car in the shootout.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team effort. The car's amazing to drive, so can't wait for 12 hours at Bathurst.
Absolutely. Tomorrow, we're going to set our sights towards what could be a huge day for you guys as well.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's a long old day tomorrow. It's 12 hours. You know, obviously got the night tomorrow morning, so it's going to be great. You know, but Chaz, it's been awesome. MPC, Coin Spot, that's been fantastic. Work with Adam and Chaz, you know, it's been really cool. And obviously Liam, you know, teaming up again, like starting on pole for the Bathurst 12-hour. How good's that?
Any idea tomorrow the plan yet? Particularly for the morning?
Well, not me.
We'll talk about it tonight.
Unless there's fog, and I'll take it.
Get those hours in the fog. I don't think he's too far away, guys. He's coming back in the lane right now, but what are you going to say to Chaz when he gets out of this car, Liam?
You legend.
Phrase?
Just a big hug, mate. Big hug.
Well, here he comes right now. He's going to be an absolute hero when he steps out of this Coin Spot Audi, because that was an all-time lap. Not even the lap, but the last sector was just something truly special. It looked like he was absolutely gone on the timing sectors. He's unclipping himself from the radio comms, the drink, and out comes Chaz Mostert, winner of the Alan Simonson's Trophy, and the team down here at Audi. Well, they're absolutely stoked with that one. How cool is that? We're going to dive in there. We'll let him get his helmet off and have a moment to celebrate with Liam Talbot and Fraser Ross. And they are going to be a very formidable team tomorrow. We saw how fast Liam was. We'll give Chaz a chance to take the helmet off. He's going to hug Adam DeBore. I'm going to grab Adam DeBore for a very quick word while you take your helmet off, Chaz. Adam, well done. How much work went into engineering that car for that lap?
You know, it's just been a progression all weekend. You know, the car is such a great, you know, base platform to work with, and you know, I've been playing with these Audis for a little while now, and you know, they just keep getting better and better, and this one's the best one we've had. So it was great to get the lap and get the job done.
Well done. Chaz has the helmet off. He's got the Pirelli cap on. Hop in here with your co-drivers, mate. We've got the Alan Simonson Trophy as well as the Pirelli caps. And here he comes right now. We've got the team from Pirelli. Congratulations, Chaz Mostert. We'll come around the front, guys. Come on around the front. We'll get you in front of the car, Chaz. Absolute chaos down here with the amount of people down here celebrating this one. How cool is that? Chaz Mostert, Fraser Ross, Liam Talbot. A word with Chaz Mostert. Incredible lap. Amazing last sector. Where did that come from?
I had a red hot crack. I knew the other boys are pretty quick, but first of all, I just want to recognise this trophy. Obviously, you know, being the Alan Simonson Trophy, I won it a few years ago. It felt very special then, and to do it again, it's pretty amazing. Obviously, Alan was a fantastic competitor here in Australia in GT racing, so yeah, just really grateful to win this one again, and obviously do it with these two legends beside me and Adam and the whole Audi team here. It's pretty cool.
Kelvin van der Linde pushed you all the way just then.
Yep, yeah, he generally does that. He's a bit of a South African pain in my bum, to be completely honest. So, look, yeah, we have a lot of fun. The race is going to be a lot of fun. A bit darker at the start, a bit earlier, so I'm looking forward to that, whoever starts, and hopefully I can have a sleep in.
All right, well done, guys. Alan Simonson Trophy winners in the Pirelli Shootout. Congratulations, Chaz. What a lap time to celebrate here down here at the Audi Sport Team. That was fantastic.
You just get the feeling, Garth, that Chaz really enjoyed that, didn't he? That was a great effort.
Oh, what a lap. And I mean, I thought that he wasn't a chance until as he was coming down Conrod. And in that last sector where he just pulled out personal best last sector of the session was enough to steal pole by 8/100ths of a session. What a qualifying session. How good was that to watch? Just the intensity building all the way through the 15 minutes. Hasn't it set it up for a great 12 hours tomorrow?
Hasn't it just? So grid is set now. We get to work tomorrow morning. Everything that we've done really is pushed aside as we get set for 12 hours of tough racing.
That's fun, that's enjoyable, but tomorrow's when it counts. So 12 hours starting in the dark at 5:15. There's a lot to get through. You've got to make sure you get through the dark part of the race and get into it once the sun comes up.
Join us early tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. we're on air. We'll see you here from Mount Panorama. Hope you enjoyed the day. From all of our team, have a great night. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Don't think Chaz Moss's not here to play. He goes to the top.